Hello again. All right, I'm just making sure that this is working. So if you guys were just watching, this is part one of my Working with Crystals video series. And I had come off and went back on because my comments were acting up. So I just wanted to make sure that they were working. So please comment and say that you can hear me and see me if everything seems to be working good. In the meantime, I'm gonna just share this again. Ah, hi Pamela. Okay, it's working now. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. Technology, right? It is what it is. But I'm glad this is working now. Okay, good. So everything seems good now. Yay, okay. Good morning, good morning. Hi Brian. All right, so let me just summarize a little bit of what I was just saying. So this is part one of my video series on working with crystals due to high demand and a lot of questions that people have been asking. I get a lot of questions, a lot of stuff about crystals that people want me to share. And I love crystals, I think, as most of you know. So I thought this was a really good way to kind of put that all together into a video series so I could really cover a lot for people and just to bring that information for as many people as I can. And I did also share, but I'll just repeat that. So some of the things I know that I'm going to be doing is it will probably be a 2 video series, but that's going to be different ways of working with crystals, which obviously is very large amount of stuff. So that probably will end up being a 2 video series. And then I'm also going to be doing my own personal recommendations along with also some Q&A because there's a lot of questions also that are kind of all different subjects and topics. So I'll probably answer most of those in one video. And then I'm also going to do a guided meditation where you can pick a crystal that you want to connect with and you can just sit with it and do this guided meditation with me, and I'll be able to kind of just guide you through being able to get to know it better, connect with it on a deeper level, which I think will be really fun. And then I also want to do one on inclusions, which are in many different minerals, but also especially quartz. And I'll also be doing another thing on quartz variations because I am going to cover some of that today, but there are a lot of variations of quartz. And I really feel that a lot of people, they know quartz, but I don't think they realize how large of a variety there is of quartz. And that way, when you know that, you're able to kind of more fine tune what you really want and need to work with when it comes to quartz. And then I'm also going to do a video on being able to pick stones. So that's also going to be about like color as a guide and different ways to just help yourself feel what you're drawn towards. Because I know sometimes people feel a little bit lost with that, especially when you're in like a large store and there's so many crystals. And sometimes people aren't the best at maybe showing you what you need. They can maybe show you based off of certain issues or whatever. But I really think that that's great and you can use that, but at the end of the day, I think using your intuition and what you're drawn towards is really the best way to pick stones. So that's definitely some of the stuff that I'm going to be covering in this. And then, as I was saying, hi Johnny. Um, I'm also going to be answering any questions, so just share any questions, anything that you want me to go over, and I will do my best to add that into this series. And then also for the recommendation video, just share with me any kind of issues in particular, things in particular that you're looking for a crystal to help you with. And I'll be sure to add that to the recommendations video of just what I personally find is the best for those things. Pamela, that's a good question. So are the cheapest $1 small crystals at spirit shops real or man-made? I actually think that it can be both. because there are some crystals and some forms of minerals that are really readily available, and I mean there's a lot of it. So some basic quartz stuff, and there's quite a few minerals that tend to be pretty cheap. So no, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's man-made, Pamela, but it's good to kind of have maybe a base knowledge of some stuff that can be man-made. One of the ways to tell, I think, right off the bat is when you see like for example, like when you see those like agate tumbled stones that are like a bright fuchsia color, that's still agate. It's real agate, but it is man-made like coloring. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily really take away from the benefit you'll get from that. But sometimes you'll see those cheaper stones that are kind of those bright neon colors. That's often man-made. And then sometimes certain types of citrine are man-made and they're actually like baked. And I actually don't have a problem with that. I actually think that it's so because you have two different forms of citrine. You have the man-made and then you have the baked, or then you have the natural. Now, natural citrine is actually really rare, so it's going to be a lot more expensive. So that's pretty easy to tell right away. When you find something that's more expensive, that usually means that it's natural citrine. And it's also going to be a much paler color than what maybe you'll see from these man-made colored kind of citrines that are like a really dark, rich, kind of almost amber looking color. But the one good thing about the baked citrine is that it has more intense energy usually, and can be actually really good for concentrating that energy in what the stuff you want to do with it. But they're both good. They're both good for different reasons. And again, just keep saying hi and letting me know that this is all working. Oh, thanks, Pamela. All right, so I think I'm going to dive in. Today I'm going to be talking about formations because I think it's something that people don't know enough about and is also often not something you can really find a lot. I think it's just information that isn't often shared. And I think it's just a good way to kind of start for a foundation for all of this, and it's just interesting stuff to know. So some of it's a little bit scientific. I'm not going to go crazy with that. But I think it's just interesting to look into. So I'm going to start with basically the natural ways that crystals form. So there's a few different structures that they follow in nature, these different patterns that they follow. And every crystal kind of falls into a different category of this. Now, they're all different names and forms, and they follow a very specific kind of formula. And they each have kind of their own energetic property. So this is actually really interesting too, because as I'll talk about this stuff, another thing is that you can kind of, one thing I was going to ask people in this video is to share what types of crystals specifically you often find yourself drawn to. Because I'm going to be able to, I think probably after the video, I'll be able to tell you what category that crystal falls into, and that can actually tell you a lot about yourself and about why you're drawn to it in particular. So I definitely encourage people to share that in the comments with me. All right, so let's get started. All right, so I'm going to start with hexagonal crystals. Moldavite. I love moldavite. So I will tell you which one that is. I like the science part. It's part of the earth elements energy connection. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really interesting. I think it's good to know. So hexagonal crystals are gonna, and I have examples for all of these for you guys so that you can get a better visual of it. Now that's gonna be something that has 4 axes, and 3 are all equal length, and then the 4th one I believe is at a 60-degree angle and intersects at a right angle, which again, I mean, it's a little scientific, but so this right here is aquamarine. I love this piece. And that is an example of a hexagonal growth. So you'll see there. And then I have some other guys here too. So then I also have this golden apatite, which I love. I love golden apatite. And then there's emerald as well, which falls in that category. This is a raw emerald, so it's a little hard to see, but it is in there. And then there's Bixbyte. Now this is like really hard to say because it's really tiny. It's a very rare stone. I love them, but I put this in resin to amplify the energy and to protect it. So that's also an example of that. And hexagonal crystals are very energetic, and they're very useful for kind of energy balancing and exploring different kind of blockages or issues that you want to deal with. And I know that they're good for people that are very analytical. They're good for people that don't like to waste time. They tend to be more dedicated. And it can be very helpful for helping with communication and balance, focus, and self-development. Now, and that makes sense to me because if you look at some of these, all of these crystals in particular kind of fall into those categories. So aquamarine in particular is very soothing, and it can be very helpful for people that are a little bit high energy and sometimes have a hard time relaxing. But also because of its blue color, it's really, really great for the throat chakra and helping us communicate our words better. And then also golden apatite is one of my absolute favorites. Honestly, I'm more into it than like citrine or maybe some of the more commonly known crystals for in that kind of yellow ray section. So apatite is really, really good for motivation, confidence, really commanding a space. It's excellent for work situations. If you work in a very stressful, maybe very competitive work environment, I highly recommend it. It's something that I always use for that kind of stuff. So again, it's just interesting because all of that does really make sense for these. And then also with emerald, it does have similar soothing properties. So for people that have a hard time unwinding sometimes. And then Bixbyte is kind of similar to like a ruby or garnet energy, but it's just like really supercharged. So a lot of root chakra energy there, but a lot of help with motivation, passion, creativity. So I think that that's really interesting. And then the next category we got is cubic, which is pretty self-explanatory. And I'll share with you what those look like. Some examples. I love aquamarine too. So cubic, again, is a cube. And we got fluorite is one of those. So this is an example of fluorite. Now fluorite can look different, obviously, but this is one of the ways that it does form in this kind of cube shape. Like that. And then halite. So halite is actually a form of salt. Now this again is also in resin, so it's not the easiest to see, but it does form in a cubic form as well. I love halite. Very purifying, really, really high energy stone. And this is also actually another example of fluorite, kind of creating that cubic formation. And then we have pyrite. And again, the examples that I'm showing, there's a lot more than that, obviously, but this is what I had in my own personal collection to be able to kind of share with you. Now, cubic is known for being very stabilizing, having very grounding energy, just because of its more simplified and very straightforward shape. And I actually think it's one of the only shapes in the crystal kingdom that doesn't bend light rays when it passes through a crystal that is of cubic formation. And then it's very good, again, for structure, grounding, organization, kind of clearing your mind. And it's good for stability, regularity, and thinking more practically. People that are drawn to these stones tend to be more logical, independent, and they really like routine. They tend to also have maybe sometimes a lack of flexibility, and they can be very good at planning. And again, that makes a lot of sense for especially fluorite to me, because fluorite, I think, is a pretty well-known stone, and it's one of probably the main recommendations by a lot of people for any kind of mental activity going on. So any kind of thing with like organization, when you're learning, when you're trying to be more organized or sharp mentally, if you're trying to learn something new, anything like that, fluorite is a really, really good stone for that. It's also really good for kind of helping if like you're opening up to psychic work of any kind or just opening up your intuition more. It's very good for kind of helping you ground that energy more. Because especially if you're not used to that feeling or that kind of energy, it can really help kind of pull that down. So fluorite is really, really a good stone all around. And then halite, also it makes sense for that because it's basically a very cleansing, purifying crystal, But again, in turn, because of that, it's very grounding. Now, halite, I love halite. And this is blue halite, but it also comes in white and pink, which are all great for their own reason. Blue halite tends to be the most spiritual out of all of them, so it's going to have more of a higher vibe than maybe the other ones. I know it can be good for kind of connecting to spirit guides, other realms. It's also something that people really recommend for like psychic clearing, any kind of removal of blocks. It absorbs like everything. It's actually a really great stone for absorbing or clearing other crystals as well, and just your environment too. And I just recommend that you keep it in a very dry environment because it's literally salt. So it will dissolve if you don't protect it, which is why all the halite that I have is in resin for that reason. And then pyrite is also, again, a very kind of mentally activating stone. It's a little bit more for like the solar plexus area and more kind of male energy, but it's, again, very motivating, very good for just keeping you going and have some structure. So all of those kind of fall in that kind of realm of things. Yeah, and let me know if you guys know any of these stones or like you feel very connected to some of them. And then the next one I'm going to go over is trigonal. So trigonal crystals is literally basically like triangular. And the one example I have of that is my stellar beam calcite point here. Now it's typically, so I guess the way it works really is that there's 3 sides when it has a center point. And so it doesn't necessarily have the 3 points at the top of it. But these are really good for radiating intense energy out of a point. They're very invigorating, they're very rebalancing, they're protective, and they can really kind of help cleanse and purify your auric field. And the other thing about them is that they're good for balance and kind of harmony in your energy field, re-energizing any depleted energy. And they're good for people. Apparently people that are drawn to that kind of crystal tend to like to have things uncomplicated. They don't like being rushed. They like to indulge in things, and they're very trustworthy, supposedly. That's apparently a thing where people are drawn to that type of crystal, tend to have those personality traits. But quartz, amethyst, citrine, I believe, all of those are actually part of this category as well. And stellar beam calcite is a little bit more out there. So it doesn't necessarily, I mean, what I will say about stellar beam calcite is that it is great for really intense energy and directing that. And it's also really good for astral travel, for Akashic record reading. And it is really good for rebalancing the energy center. So again, that's also very true for quartz as well. So it makes sense that all of that is part of that kind of category. And again, if you guys have any questions, just keep going with it. And just let me know that this is still working and you can still hear me. All right, the next one is tetragonal. That's the next form, and that is right here. So we got apophyllite right here, which I love. I love how apophyllite has almost this kind of mirror-like reflection inside it, which is really unique to it and very, very cool. And then we got zircon, excuse me, which is a really good grounding stone. It doesn't seem that exciting, but I do really love this. For people that have a hard time kind of staying grounded and are very much like up here a lot of the times, this is a very good crystal for them. It can just really help kind of just take it down and be more aware of just your present surroundings. So these are really good at kind of absorbing energy and then transforming it, so reusing it. And they're very good at balancing things. And they're very good for like trying to be adaptable with change. They help with people that tend to be more analytical, and people that are drawn to them are good that like they usually have interest in science and they're good at searching for the truth and they like the unknown. They like surprise, and they're good at keeping secrets, supposedly. So that might be true for some people that are drawn to these, but I know I really love apophyllite because it's really, really good for exploring multiple dimensions and very good at expanding that energy in your own space. So I highly recommend it, especially for people I think that are new to opening up to this stuff. And actually what's cool is that I think actually combining these two is really, really helpful for people that are new to this energy, because zircon is going to help you stay grounded, and it's going to help you kind of handle that higher vibrational energy at the same time. So it kind of helps balance things out. Now, I used to carry this with me all the time when I was opening up to everything and I was feeling very overwhelmed by a lot of the energy I was feeling. That can be a very helpful crystal for that. So let me see, we got some questions here. So does amethyst lose its energy when cut around? So no, Pamela, no, it doesn't. And actually, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in the next section here that I'm talking about, because I'm talking about basically the natural formations, and then I am going to talk about man-made formations and how that can affect the energy as well. So the group of these stones again, for the one that I just said, Pamela, it's here. And also, I can share all of this stuff in the comments after the video too, so you guys have like the spelling and everything. So that's apophyllite, and then zircon. But I will add that into the comments for you too. Okay, and then the next one is orthombic, which I hope I'm saying that right. I'm a little dyslexic, so I might be saying it a little bit wrong, but hopefully I'm saying it correct. And that is right here. So these stones, for my example, I have danburite, which I love these. I think they're very unique and the formation that they make. And danburite is really good for angelic realms and channeling. They're really, really, really nice. And they're also very soothing too. A lot of people I know, they like to meditate with them, or if you're feeling really overwhelmed, just holding one in each palm can be very relaxing. Then we also have tanzanite here, which is this beautiful blue stone, which is a very psychically activating stone. And then we have topaz. I just have a clear topaz point right here. And these are usually really good for cleansing and clearing energy. And they often are good for protection, getting rid of unnecessary habits that might be blocking you. They're good for developing more empathy and also focusing on anything that you're trying to do. They're good for people that are kind of socially aware and maybe they have like a need for a stable environment and a need for safety. So these can provide that kind of feeling. Because the thing with these types of crystals is that they're all kind of high vibrational, at least the ones that I'm showing. But they do have an aspect that's very grounding at the same time and also kind of relaxing. So they're not necessarily going to be stones that are going to like overwhelm you with kind of this higher vibrational energy. They're a good balance in a lot of ways. They're also, especially topaz, so clear topaz, that's one of the recommendations that I would always make is anybody looking to activate their mental ability of any kind. So just learning, memorization, just anything. Any kind of clear version of a stone is going to be a great thing to choose for that. And this also goes for any kind of psychic development as well. So really activating to the third eye. Because basically, if you just think of it, it's just mental clarity and it's clear. So that's a good rule of thumb for that. And blue, obviously, as well, is good for that as well. A darker blue, like an indigo color for the third eye. Are blue, yellow, and brown topaz man-made? No, they're not. I think they can be colored. But for the most part, yeah, because I know that they definitely can be colored sometimes. So it's always good to ask if you're looking to buy one of those pieces. But typically as well, especially if it's a bigger piece of topaz and it seems really cheap, it's probably man-made. It's probably not, because topaz can be pretty expensive, especially if it's natural. But for little pieces, little tumble stones that a lot of shops should have, those aren't man-made usually. And you can always verify that with the person that works at the shop. those back. And I love blue topaz as well. That's one of my other favorites. I do have one, but I just didn't have that here. And then the next one is triclinic, and that is right here. So we got blue kyanite right here, amazonite, and labradorite. Now, one of the things about all of these stones and these types of formations, they are definitely one of the higher realms, one of more kind of mysticism, psychic ability, traveling to other dimensions, Akashic records, all of that kind of stuff. People that tend to have maybe more innate psychic ability or very intuitive are going to be drawn to these crystals. And these are all great stones to have if you're looking to open that up as well. And the majority of these two, if they're blue, tend to be really, really good for the throat chakra and kind of helping with balancing out your communication and having honest communication. And it's really good for people that have an issue with boundaries too. And as I know too, kyanite can be very good for balancing as well. So balancing your energy fields. Let's make sure I got here. And they're very good at integration as well. And kind of, yeah, so balancing, integration, helping your whole energy system kind of reset. So that's those guys. What's the best crystal for the sacral chakra? I will definitely answer that in a minute for you. So then the next one that we're going to go over is I see sometimes I have a problem saying this. Monoclinic. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. And that's these guys. So we got kunzite, which is one of my all-time favorite stones. I love kunzite. And then we got hiddenite. And hiddenite is actually just green kunzite. And then we got azurite. And this is a more kind of free-formed shape there, more natural, just raw. It's not tumbled. Now, these especially are one of the best crystals for the heart chakra that I know. I think they're very effective. I also think that they're really, really good for people that have a lot of anxiety, especially social anxiety, but just anxiety in general. This was always one of my favorite stones to wear when I was dealing with a lot of anxiety issues. So I highly recommend it for that. Then azurite is also, again, a very good mental kind of activator and also very well known for psychic ability and intuitive development. And I know that these are also tend to be good for perception and purification. And then the last one is amorphous. Now those are going to be ones that are lacking a really like defined structure within them. And then the examples I have of that are amber. Now amber technically isn't a crystal, right? But it's been adopted by the mineral kingdom and by people that work with stones as a healing tool. And this is, I love this amber. I think it's beautiful. And then we got opal. This is a black opal that I have. Unfortunately, you can't really see any of the shine in there. I don't know if I add my flashlight to it, you can see. Yeah, a little bit. I think this thing is beautiful. But again, I don't know if this is showing it that well. But all opals fall in that category. And then also obsidian. Now obsidian, this is a peacock obsidian. It's also known as royal obsidian. It's often found in Mexico. And again, you can't really see in this lighting, but it has kind of this amazing swirl of color. So those all fall in that category. Now what these stones are good for, again, because they kind of lack this structure, they basically project energy from everywhere, all over. So they can be very just soothing, purifying. They're really good to just hold, and it helps you just really absorb what they have to offer. And it can also be a really good catalyst for any kind of healing work or growth. It can just kind of rapidly set that off just because of the amount of energy that it's able to provide just from that. Hi, Jolie. So, best crystal for the sacral chakra. Now, there's a few that I like. I think one of the best known ones would be carnelian. But thinking about it, like, yeah, well, so carnelian definitely. Oh, tangerine quartz is really good for that. Tangerine quartz is awesome. I think it has really, really good energy. And then any stone that's basically orange in color is often going to be a good choice for the sacral chakra. Not always true, but it's a good rule of thumb. For I was going to share this in like the other video, but basically using the colors of the chakras as a tool or guide to help you pick stones can be really helpful, because for the most part, they're always going to correspond with each other. It's not always true, but all in all, you can kind of use that as like a safe guide for yourself. So any stone that has an orange color, so orange calcite even, right? All of those are going to usually be helpful for the sacral chakra. But I will also, Donnie, I'm going to give a more in-depth kind of video on recommendations as well. So I will add that into that also. And I'll let you know when I'm doing that one. Yeah, I love black obsidian. It's awesome. All right, so that's everything for that kind of more scientific piece, which I just think is interesting. It's not something that I'm super into or super, follow like to a huge degree, but I just figured it would be interesting to kind of share with you guys as the foundation video for all of this. But so now the next part, I'm going to now talk about natural formations in quartz and some of those varieties and what they're good for. So the first one I'm going to share with you guys, let's see. I'm going to share my Celestial quartz. Now, Celestial quartz is awesome. And I've noticed, though, that it has gained popularity recently, and I'm seeing it more and more in shops. So this may be something that you've probably seen. So this doesn't necessarily show, like, a great example of, like, more bigger pieces, because more defined Celestial quartz usually has these really crazy kind of defined pieces that are all separate. Because, like, what it's known for is it basically has all of these natural terminations kind of all over the whole body of it. And what they're really good for is accessing other dimensions. They actually kind of work almost as like a spiritual radio and being able to kind of help you tune into different frequencies of spiritual energy, which is really, really cool. They have an amazing energy. They're really, really high vibrational. This is actually a smoky celestial, which is also really nice because that tends to bring a little more of a grounding energy to it. And this actually is Celestial rose quartz, which tends to be more rare. Not a lot of people have it, but it's really cool because it's pretty rare. Rose quartz usually doesn't crystallize in that way. And this just kind of amplifies it even more, kind of the energy of the rose quartz. Oh, I went out of focus? Okay. Can you guys see it? So you'll notice this is actually a better example of what celestials tend to look like, because it has this kind of mash up of different angles and terminations. So not typically what you expect from quartz. Yeah, I love them. Yeah, and again, you can't see that great with this one, but it has all these beautiful little pockets inside it. It's a really awesome piece. You have very strong energy. These are very high vibrational forms of quartz. This is quartz taken to a very high level. So I highly recommend these for anybody, especially anybody that's looking to do more spiritual work or access those kinds of dimensions. It's really, really helpful. And then the next one I'm going to share is, I think, scepter quartz. So I have that right here. So the one that I have is actually smoky citrine. And again, this is a good example of what I was talking about before because this is a natural form of citrine. So you'll notice that it's much more pale. And this is actually a more smoky citrine as well from Africa. Now, this isn't the most defined look of a scepter point, but you can kind of see it. So it's going to have almost this separation here, like that at the tip of the point. And you can also look this up, like even on Etsy or Google, and you'll probably see better images of that, but this is like the best example I have. But what's cool about scepter quartz is that it really helps amplify that energy and also really focuses it to like just like this huge kind of almost laser point amount of energy. And that's actually why I really like that I have this in citrine, because citrine, again, is already a very activating stone for the solar plexus, very good for motivation, creativity. So this kind of takes it to a whole nother level. And these can be they have like a storm element to them, and they have like a lot of fire energy in them as well. And they can be very energizing. They're really good for taking action and things that you want to change in your life. So again, like I was saying, I actually really like that this is citrine because that kind of amplifies all of that as well. And that was, the other thing that I wanted to share is that quite commonly, and this is because I think what I also had said before is that amethyst, citrine, and quartz are all the same crystal structure. So you're actually going to find a lot of what I'm sharing today, you can find in amethyst or citrine as well, and not just quartz. So that's why you're seeing that in this citrine. Oh, you're welcome, Donnie. All right, and then the next one I'm going to share with you is a cathedral quartz. Now, again, this one that I have is really cool. I love this. So it's actually amethyst, and it has a phantom with a lot of hematite in it. I'll just show you guys there. Now, this isn't, again, like the best example of cathedral quartz, but essentially, a cathedral quartz formation is going to have these smaller pieces like this, kind of clustering around the bottom of the point, almost creating this cathedral-like look. So you can see that there. So that's kind of the best physical example I have of that. It's not exact, but again, this is something that you can also search on Google to see more images. Now, cathedral quartz is known for kind of creating or having this library of knowledge in it. And it's something where you can kind of access ancient cultures and civilizations, all this information that's kind of within them. They're known to, I guess, have been kind of programmed by spirit beings to share with humans. And they contain a lot of energy. But they're really, really good for past life stuff, accessing ancient civilizations and knowledge from the past, and just also have crazy energy to them. They're really, really powerful pieces. But I love them. I love them. I'll just show that one more time. Now again, this has a little bit of the different energy because it's amethyst and hematite. Hematite being very grounding. So it kind of helps pull all of that down a little more as well, which is pretty interesting. But again, you can find this in regular quartz pretty easily. I think now it's more readily available than it used to be. Okay. And then I'm going to share, let's see. So this is called a manifest spirit crystal. Now, it probably has some other names, and basically what that definition is this right here. So this is Tanzanite aura quartz, which basically is supposed to have kind of the essence of tanzanite in it, but it's regular quartz. So what you'll see here is that you're going to have a face on the point here that has 5 sides. And all of those 5 sides basically represent the 5 elements. And it can be very good for kind of bringing in and channeling goddess energy. So they can be very healing, very activating. They're really good for accessing earth energy and kind of recharging from the battery of the earth, which is really cool. So that's something I encourage you guys to look at is just take a look at some of your quartz points and see if you can find that and share that with me, because you may have them and you just don't realize it. So it's definitely fun to kind of look and see. Okay, and then the next one is a generator point. Now, again, I don't have the best example of this. This is kind of the closest thing I have. This is a Super 7 point. And basically what a generator point is, they're actually pretty rare, is you're going to have 6 equal sides that all form the top of it. So this was kind of the closest thing I could get. It does have 6 sides, and they're pretty equal. But this is really, again, very good for directing energy, and it provides really strong energy. And they're known to be almost like a battery. So just really pulling up energy from the earth and really providing kind of anyone that gets really depleted or drained, maybe people that are more empathic too, people that tend to get really drained from energy work of any kind, they can be very, very recharging for you. So that's something that I definitely recommend for anyone that deals with that kind of issue. And then we got tabular formations. So this is a kind of a small piece, but this is actually Faden quartz. Now Faden quartz is really cool because I don't know if mine has a really defined line through it, but typically it's going to be this kind of tabular formation, and it's going to have 2 points or points on either ends, and usually almost this defined line through the middle. So almost as if it's been sewn together. And actually Faden is fiber in German. And it was named that because of this kind of almost thread-like formation through the center of these. Now these are really, really well known for any kind of healing, basically. And this is also physical. I know even like for people with like broken bones or dealing with any kind of injury like that. But they're also very good for energetic healing or emotional healing, anything like that. They're excellent for healing. And they're also really pretty. So that's that one. And then tabular formations, it's not just Faden quartz. That can be a lot of different things. But if you just even look up tabular quartz on Google, you'll be able to see more kind of examples of that as well. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was record keepers, which I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard about in the past. Now, there's actually 2 types of record keepers. So there's a raised record keeper and then a sunken record keeper. And basically how you define or figure that out. So raised record keepers are going to have basically these very small triangles, these small triangular shapes that are raised on the surface of the crystal, and they can be very small. This one has a ton of them, but I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'm going to try and like angle this so maybe that you can try to see it. I might have to like take a picture for you guys and add that in the comments, because this is really hard to see. I might have to take like, yeah, I'll probably share a picture with you guys because I don't think that's gonna, I don't think you're gonna be able to see that. So, but you can ask probably any crystal shop that you go to, you can ask them if they have any record keepers. Another cool thing is that record keepers, especially raised ones, you can find in sapphire and ruby, and they're gonna be in the raw form. So that's also really, really cool. So raised record keepers are really, really good for accessing your own records, basically. So past lives, ancestral healing, anything like that, it's going to be much more directed towards your actual DNA and like your past. So it's really good for just having a deeper understanding of that within yourself to just help kind of activate you and heal you. So they're really, really neat, and they're very powerful as well. And they're really not that expensive either. If you get like a small one like this, it's really reasonable. So those are really, really neat to have. And then the sunken record keeper is considered more of like the legitimate type. And I have one little thing on this one. So again, I hope you can see this, but let me see. So I have it, it's like this. So it's basically the same shape, this like triangular shape, but it's sunken inward into the crystal as opposed to upward. So let me see if I flash my flashlight on this, you can see better. Yeah, there it is. I don't know if any of you can see that. It's really tiny. It's like right by my fingernail there. But notice how it's like that shape is sunken inside the surface of the crystal. And sometimes you'll have just like one like that. And then other ones will have a lot. But usually if you look that up, or you can ask any kind of crystal shop that you go to about that. Now, the difference with those is that they tend to actually be more, they give you more access to ancient records and things of like the whole universe. So less directed towards you, it still is, but it's a little more expansive beyond that. So it's going to be more directed towards kind of, again, like more kind of Akashic record type stuff and past civilizations, kind of all the knowledge, this like library of knowledge from past civilizations, history, and so forth. And that can also end up being very activating and also link into your own personal history and lineage. So there's that. And then, let's see here. Okay, and then we got candle quartz. Now, there's like 3 names for this. So there's candle quartz, pineapple quartz, and then I believe also celestial quartz. So this is it. Now there's also 2 types that are sometimes going to be labeled as this. This is the type that is more legitimate, and this is the type that's usually from Madagascar, and it's going to have almost that milky color to it. There's another type that comes from the Himalayas and is a little more clear and has less defined kind of ridges and terminations on the sides there. I think these look really cool. So this is the more genuine example of that. Now, these are really good for doing grids. They're really good for connecting with earth energy. They can be very grounding. But then also, they're very good at accessing also like Akashic records, other dimensions. They just hold a very special kind of unique energy to them. And they can be very activating as well. So even sitting in meditation with these, you'll feel a lot of energy from it. So I highly recommend these too. They're really, really cool. They're also very good with connecting to spirit guides and people in spirit, your own personal guides, and your higher self as well. So these are really cool. But again, they can get, I think sometimes people confuse them for cathedral quartz because it's celestial quartz, but they are different. What do I got here? Okay, and then we have self-healed quartz points. So those can be a little tricky to figure out, but it's basically just that you'll see a quartz point that has a defined breaking point, but there's going to be minerals and other things that have started to grow over it. So essentially that it's not that it's going to form another point or anything, but it's obvious that the stone has kind of grown over it to a certain degree and has healed itself. So again, kind of similar to Faden quartz, where it's very healing, very good for just emotional healing, for maybe any kind of past trauma or wounds. It can be very stabilizing. This is actually a golden healer quartz too. It's one of my favorites. Has a really, really strong energy. So that kind of amplifies that whole deal to a whole nother degree as well. So that's that. And you can find that with, again, more than just quartz. And then, again, keep asking questions, guys, if you have any, okay? Relieving stress. Okay, yeah, I will definitely recommend that, Barbara. All right, another formation is dolphin formation. Now, what makes that is basically you're going to have one larger point and then this little baby point that kind of rides on its back like a dolphin. I'm not totally sure the origins of where that came from, but what it's known for is really helping with that kind of mother nurturing energy. So anyone dealing with healing from that, even like the loss of a parent or just someone that needs more nurturing overall, or maybe needs to deal with childhood trauma, anything like that, this can be very, very helpful for. It's very soothing energy. And really good for anybody that's just dealing with a lot of like PTSD even, or just, but especially rooted from childhood. I think it's a lot of like inner child work it's really good for. And even kind of connecting to dolphin energy in a way. So that kind of childlike playfulness, right? Sometimes we kind of forget to relax, especially as an adult, we start to kind of forget that fun that we had as a kid and just being present. So that also can really help with that. Now, this I have shared on another video. This is Dream Quartz, which I love, and it is Epidot that makes this milky kind of green color inside, and they're amazing. So that is that. And then we got a twin flame formation. So I have this little guy as an example of that. So it's going to be 2 points that are combined, just like that. Now these are great for entering into a new phase where you want to bring unconditional love into your life. It can be used for trying to kind of attract a new partner in your life, or just to kind of amplify love and connection in your relationships. If you're already in a relationship, it can just really help with connection and rebalancing any issues. And I think also a lot of internal kind of healing related to love and past relationships, things that may be blocking you from entering into allowing unconditional love to come into your life. These can be really, really helpful for that. Hi, Patty. Hi, Rob. Which stones would you suggest for anyone enjoying a vibration sound bath? That's a really interesting question. I will let you know. So again, a lot of these suggestions I think I'm going to do in a separate video. That way I can really better answer your questions and in a more in-depth way. And then I think lastly, I have so double terminated quartz. So I don't have an example of that at the moment, but double terminated quartz is going to be something that has very well-defined points on either end. And this is something that's really, really important to mention, is that there's man-made double terminated points and then natural. So you want natural, because basically it's something that's formed naturally. It's part of the crystal matrix. And what's so good about those is that they're really energizing, and they also are wonderful for like laying out on your body and even wearing with you throughout the day to kind of re-energize and realign your chakra column. And because they basically absorb energy and transmit energy at the same time. So they're almost like these little generators, and they're really, really powerful and excellent healing tools, like I was saying, for like a body layout. So that's why you want to be careful when you're looking for that you don't get the man-made kind, because there's a lot of man-made kinds where they just carve it into something that has 2 points. And the thing is that if that was carved from a regular quartz point, it's going to have the same directional property of energy. It's going to just be in one direction. It's not going to all of a sudden have the same energetic properties as a natural double terminated point. So that's definitely something to I really wanted to let people know, because they're wonderful tools, and I highly recommend that everyone really have one. They're also really good for grids too, just because of their energetic property of just this flow of in and out. So they're great to kind of go around, the edge of a grid, and that will really activate and energize your grid as well. And then I think that's about it for the natural formations that I'm going to go over today. Yeah, I think so. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to go over is just man-made shapes and how they can help you, which I know I think Pamela was mentioning earlier. So let me see here. So I'll start with a sphere. Now I think most people, they'll see spheres at any shop. They're beautiful, they're wonderful, they feel really good in the hand. They're really, really relaxing. I even get sometimes using them for like massage on your body or something. One of the great things about spheres is that, similar to like that other formation, amorphous form that I was talking about, is that because there's no defined point anywhere, it just expands and allows energy to come out of every angle, every side, every part of it. So it's just this all-encompassing energy vibration that comes off of this. And they're excellent for scrying, which is basically reading any patterns or imagery that you'll see in them. That's why you see them quite often as kind of the cliche psychic, you know, with the crystal ball. But it is true, they're good for that. But you don't need a crystal ball to do that. You can do that with really any crystal at all. They're also basically symbolic, right, of infinity and this completeness. So they can be very harmonizing for you, very healing for that. Can make you feel more harmonized within yourself and where you are, and having more acceptance with the where you're at if you're in your life right now. If you're maybe not feeling so great about it, or you feel like things need to be different, this can be really good for acceptance. Now this, I really hope you can see this. So this is actually star rose quartz. And let me see. I'm going to try to, oh, can you guys see that? Hang on. There we go. Can you guys see that? So you see that like star formation that shows up when a light is pointed on it? Which I think is so pretty. So that is actually as a result of rutile threads, very fine rutile threads, which is another mineral. Sometimes you'll, so like rutilated quartz, it looks like these little golden threads kind of inside the quartz. So this is the same thing. It's just more kind of microscopic as an inclusion. And it's really cool. It creates this amazing optical effect from that reflection. Now, you can find this most commonly in sapphires and in rubies, but also rose quartz. What I love about them is that basically anything that's a star version of it is going to amplify the property of the original stone times like a billion. So it just hyper activates all of the benefits that you would get out of that stone normally. So that's why this stone for me is very relaxing, very soothing, because it kind of takes rose quartz and just really amplifies it by a lot. And also the fact that it's a sphere, I think too, is kind of what makes it, its energy very all-encompassing and kind of wraps you in its energy. So that's that. And then I was going to talk about palm stones, which I have quite a few of, because they just feel really nice. So palm stones are like, these are some examples of that. They're just like what they're called. They just fit in the palm of your hand like that. And you can kind of find them in really any crystal you want a lot of the times. This is a hematoid quartz, which is hematite in quartz, which I find really relaxing. This is, again, the amazonite that I had shared earlier. Now, these are just really good for meditating and also, I think, self-soothing. When we're feeling really like a lot of frayed nerves, very kind of just overwhelmed, I find these very relaxing. There's just something very tactile about them, and just the way that they feel. You can kind of rub them if you have issues with just nerves or just any kind of, even also if you have like a thing with like biting your nails or something like that, they can be very helpful for that too. Just kind of having something to occupy your hands with. And they're also really good for just really feeling into a stone's energy and getting to know it well. And again, similar to a sphere, it's a little different, but similar to it, how it kind of shows that energy comes off of it in multiple directions. So again, you're getting a really big benefit from that as well. And I think that's also part of what makes them so soothing. So that's that. I don't know if I said hello already. Hi, Patty. I don't know if I did, but in case I didn't, I want to say hi. And let me know if you have any questions, Patty. So then another one is an egg shape. So this is aquatine lemurian calcite, which is pretty rare, and I'm obsessed with it. And this is often actually confused for, I believe, a form of onyx or obsidian, but it is found in Brazil. Now, the egg shape is really, really good for, and is known for, helping people with rebirth, a fresh start, a new beginning. So if they're going through some kind of part in their life of like dramatic change, it can be very helpful as an aid in that, and kind of helping you accept that change, embrace that change, let it really just absorb into you. And it can be really good if you're also feeling stuck and you feel like you need a change. So it can also help kind of be the catalyst for change as well. And again, similar to like the dolphin formation I was talking about, it can have very nurturing energy, very like a lot of mother-like vibes. just very soothing and comforting. If someone's feeling kind of lonely or afraid, any kind of thing like that can be very soothing for that stuff. And then we got a free form. So the one I have, for an example, is rose quartz. So you'll probably see these a lot in any kind of crystal shop, and they're always different, which is what I like about them. Now for these in particular, I really recommend feeling them before buying them and feeling like what you're drawn to. Because the thing about them is that really they're going to all have a different energetic pattern because of their kind of random nature. So any kind of angle here and everything, like it's all coming off of different sides and pieces, and every single freeform is different. And it comes from a lot of different stones. So this is the kind of thing where it's very unique in its vibration and kind of where the energy comes off of. So it's something that I highly recommend kind of feeling before buying and just seeing if that energetic pattern just feels right for you and kind of connects with your energy. So those are really cool, and they're also really pretty. And then we have pyramids. So this is Amazes, which is probably, I'm saying it a little wrong, but it's basically a zezolite mixed with amethyst, which is really cool, and it's small, but the thing about pyramids is that similar to just a generator-like idea, they're great for, again, like putting on the third eye, like that, or any chakra center that you want to try to purify or realign. They're really good for healing layouts like that. They're also excellent to put in the center of a crystal grid to kind of activate it and have this central area of energy. They are very much applied to just sacred geometry and also just the whole thing of the Pyramid of Giza, right? All of those things are very sacred in their form, and they're beautiful generators. They have this amazing way of taking in energy and expanding and letting out new energy. So also very similar to an orgone pyramid, like the ones that I make, actually. Similar idea, where they kind of take in negative ions and release positive. So that's an example of that. They're also really good if you want to practice feeling stones. They're very helpful, I think, for kind of just holding your hand over the top of it. Yeah, because even me doing this right now, I feel it like a heat sensation kind of coming out of the top of it. They're really good tools for practicing that, especially if you have a hard time feeling crystals and feeling their energy or their vibration in a more physical way. This is a really, really helpful tool. So that's another thing I recommend with that. And then we have wands. So I have this kyanite, which is like a green and blue kyanite, and then this labradorite wand. Now again, these are something that's not going to be able to stand up. Can't stand. But these are great for any kind of like Reiki attunement or anything like that. They're really, really helpful for waving over the body and waving over areas that you want to purify, cleanse, kind of remove any blockages. They can be used for a lot of shamanic practices, kind of cord cutting, all of that kind of stuff. They're just really helpful for using as just a healing tool in general. And they come in a shape that makes it a lot easier to work with for some people. You can also use them as a body layout piece as well. And they're also cool to put in generators too. And then I have this beautiful Vogel crystal, which you guys have probably seen before. They're pretty common. Now, unfortunately, this one was broken. So, but I actually didn't really know about these when I bought it, and it was on sale because it was broken. But I still really like the energy of it. So what's really cool about these is that these were created by a man named Marcel Vogel he was from in between 1917 and 91. He worked for IBM for a really, really long time, many years. And towards the later part of his life, he became fascinated with quartz energy and crystal energy and ways to kind of harness that energy and use it as a healing tool. So he actually created this. It's very precise. Now, I will say there are a lot of kind of counterfeit Vogel crystals. So if you want to buy one of these, just make sure that you're getting one that is really genuine. Because they're just not going to have the same impact when they're the counterfeit. And what I mean by counterfeit is not that maybe they're not made with good intention or anything, but it's just that he had created a very specific formula to create these and to cut these. And they follow, like, I know that they have to be a 52-degree angle from the top. There's like a female side and a male side. And they often have anywhere from, they used to have only, I believe, 3 sides, but now they can have anywhere from like up to like 16 sides. And I find that the more sides that they have, the more energetic they feel. And actually, yeah, they're also the same, the 52 degrees, it's the same angle as the Pyramid of Giza. And they're also based off of the Tree of Life. So it's very, very precise. So again, they are amazing healing tools, and they're cut specifically to basically just absorb energy and shoot it out the top with this laser precision, and are very energizing too. Yeah, so Vogel crystal is, I mean, it's not man-made quartz. It's not necessarily like lab-grown quartz. I guess it can be, but man-made in the sense that it's carved by man. Yeah. So you're not gonna find, I mean, that would be crazy if these grew like that. That would be amazing, but no, unfortunately not. They are cut by man, but they are amazing tools. And that some of them you can get like this big, which is kind of a dream for me. I really want one of those eventually, but highly recommend that as just anybody that, I think also people that have a hard time feeling crystals, like what I was talking before with like the pyramid shape. This is like really, really amplified. So if you're having a hard time feeling anything from a regular quartz point, this can kind of help feel that energy more, and it's going to amplify all of that. Then I'm pretty sure that's everything I wanted to go over. I'm just double checking. I'll look at my notes here. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to cover today for you guys, but if you have any questions, just let me know. Oh, hi, Sherry. Yeah, you can watch the replay. Yeah, and Sherry, I was just saying to everybody, if you have any questions, I know you had the one about feeling stuff, which I did talk about a little bit here, but I'm going to go more in depth with that in the next video. So yeah, I think that's everything. This was a little more like fact-based more than anything, but I thought it was just a good way to kind of start all of these videos, just as kind of this foundation, and just to give people a good idea of some of the other options that they maybe wouldn't have known about in the, before. So I really hope that that's what this did for you. I really hope that it just helped kind of expand your knowledge on what's available for you. And definitely let me know if you guys try any of these out, or you buy one or anything. I'd love to hear your experiences with them. And like I was saying, I will actually type in the shapes that I was talking about and everything like in the chat box. And yeah, and I'll share some of that stuff in there because I know some of it was a little hard to pronounce. So just so you know the spelling of it and everything, if you want to look into it more. Oh, thanks, Pamela. Throat chakra. Yeah, so a lot of people are asking about different crystals for different chakra centers. So that's really good because I actually think that's probably what I'm going to do next for my next video, which I think I'm going to stick to this time. It's going to be Tuesday, every Tuesday at 10. And I will definitely go over, I might make that like about picking crystals and using color as a guide. So again, just to quickly kind of surface answer that question, Patty, anything that's going to be of a light blue color is usually kind of foolproof to choose for opening the throat chakra. Now, I actually have a few things here that I could pull out and show you. So, let's see. All right, well, so one of the things that I had shown before was Amazonite. Amazonite is known as like one of the best crystals for opening the throat chakra. It's really good for people that have codependency issues or issues with making boundaries with other people, because it's basically going to open up your voice, and it also helps connect the heart center to the words that you're sharing. So being really genuine and honest and really trusting your words and being able to just create boundaries. So I know in the past for me that was a big issue, so this stone always helped me with that. It's also really helpful for anyone that has fear of public speaking, when they get a lot of anxiety about that stuff, and it can help remove that kind of blockage and kind of just help relax you a little more. And then another common one would be blue lace agate. which is really almost more like a purpley blue. But that's also well known for soothing anxiety and helping with the throat chakra. A lesser known one would be blue aragonite, which I love. I think I shared a picture not that long ago. I had gotten a bigger piece that's really beautiful, but it has that nice light color to it. But again, it's very good for the throat chakra. This is also very activating for the psychic centers as well. And then, oh yeah, and angelite as well is this nice light blue color. So again, I think you kind of get the theme here is that a lot of it's going to be this light blue color. Not always true, but it's a good rule of thumb to follow when you're looking for something for a specific chakra center. So I hope that helps. And also, like I was saying, I'm going to do another video where I'm going to go into way more depth with this stuff for you. And like I was saying at the beginning of the video, for anyone that missed it, just share it in the comments, any specific issue or thing that you want a crystal recommendation on that I can share with you. And I will be sure to add it into that video, and I'll like tag you or something so you know when it will be. Okay? So I hope you guys liked this and had fun, and just make sure you share this with anybody that you think will enjoy it or will get something out of it. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm really, really glad that I'm finally doing this because I love crystals and I'm very obsessive with learning about them and everything, so I'm just really happy to be able to share this with everybody. And I will add also links to my groups in there. I'm still trying to kind of build up some groups that I'm doing right now, which is Intuition Development Room and Lightworkers in Recovery. So I'm going to add that as well as links in here. And if anybody's interested in working with me as well, I will also add in my website for any more information on that. And Pamela, yes, I will absolutely tag you. All right, everybody, have a beautiful day, and thanks for joining me. So I will see you guys next week. All right.